Hello, my name is Jan Tsar, and I'm here to talk to you about how to automate building permitting with BIM, where to start. And this is done part of the European Horizon project called Accord, where we do just that. We look at the ways to automate building permitting and make it more streamlined. So why this education pack? We decided to create a nice education pack because and specifically targeted towards municipality government officials. So this is aimed at maybe the less technical, really technical enthusiasts and BIM specialists, which there are a lot of in municipalities. But we want to really bring this topic closer to the decision makers and policy officers in government and in municipalities. Because you guys hold the keys to actually unlocking the full benefit of BIM-based permitting within compliance checking and the whole permit process. So let's get on with it. There's a lot of slides in the slide pack, so I'm gonna be real quick because I'm gonna try and pack this whole presentation into about 15 minutes. But don't worry, you can always go back and look at the slides, go into the detail. The whole idea of this slide pack, of this education pack, is that you have a nice reference, a set of reference slides that you can always use and share with your colleagues and to figure out how to best start with BIM-based permitting. So the content pack is split into 4 kind of sections. First, we talk about the why use BIM at all? What is openBIM? What are the key standards? Then we look at how the process of making regulations into a automated BIM check look like. And then we also have some examples of already working software you can use and start already today to do BIM-based permitting. And some example use cases and projects as well. And in the end, it's a call to action is to, you can talk a lot about this topic and there's a lot of material on it, but the best way to learn is learn by doing. So you should really start doing it yourself. So why use BIM? We have these learning outcome slides as well for quick reference, but I'm just going to skip them during this discussion and this recording. You all know about building permits, hopefully, because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, I think. We need building permits, but they're not the best thing about, I think, the whole building process, because they're often very complex, they take time, etc. But we still need to ensure safety, legality, quality of the buildings we construct. And if you look at the transformation pathway from a paper-based process into a fully automated and BIM and geo information integrated together into one system, there are certain steps in between. And I would say nobody's really there at the highest level. We have some countries like Finland, Estonia, also cities like Geneva, Dubai, who are doing already openBIM, IFC-based, semi-automated compliance checking. And many other municipalities are also starting with it. But most, I think, are at the second level, which is they have a nice online service, but the whole review process itself is rather manual. Benefits of BIM-based permitting are speed, quality, transparency. And I think speed talks to itself. You automate the checks, you automate the tedious technical parts. The transparency comes with automation because there's no 2 ways to interpret something when a machine does the check. And quality comes out of the fact that you can give these checking tools to the industry, to the applicants, so they can do this beforehand, and the quality of the applications goes much higher when they reach the desk of the municipality officials. There's a slide about information management in general as an introduction. If you haven't yet thought about information management as such. General topics on data standards. Why are common data standards so important? To have the same interpretation, automatic processing, comparison and learning. And then we come to BIM. And if you haven't heard about BIM, then this description is maybe enough. It's the process of using digital tools to design, analyze, approve, and document the creation and utilization of a built asset, and is an integral component of digitalized information management processes. Well, it's a mouthful, but in the end, it's structured information about what you want to build. And it's not just 3D, but it's actually more about the information inside, and it's related to a whole process as well. But we can spend a lot of time debating and discussing what BIM is. So let's leave it at that and move on to what kind of benefits you can get from BIM. And we're already talking about, automating building permits, but with you also have to keep in mind that you have to think about how you make the BIM data accessible, where you're going to store these files, and how you're going to share them. Are they going to be linked to also geo information? And before you start automating, you need to validate the data quality inside, whether the minimum data quality is there. And luckily, we have a really good standard from Building Smart called IDS, and there are slides about that as well coming up. And then you have the automate part in the middle, where you can do all these cool compliance checks, regulatory checks. There's a lot of things you can automate if you have good quality BIM models. But it's not just about automating, the building permitting phase. It's actually this BIM data you can use in a whole bunch of other use cases. And that's what we call the platform approach, where you really start reusing this data that you collect, for example, during the permitting process through BIM models. But you can use that for also material passport. You can do CO2 calculations. You can use it later for renovation purposes, for statistical maintenance, etc., urban planning. There's a lot of use cases. So it's not just this specific use case. I just want to remind you and keep your mind open to other things. The text about it is all here as well, so you can go and reference it, read about it. But if there's one thing you remember from this presentation and this video, and you haven't heard about it, then it's openBIM. Go ahead, check out the video yourself later on. There's a nice Building Smart video that explains openBIM. And openBIM is a collaborative process that is inclusive of all participants, promoting interoperability throughout the building lifecycle. So it's, again, we're not talking just about permitting. We're talking about the planning, design, building, and maintenance phase within the building lifecycle. So everything. And yeah, I'm not going to stop too long here because there's a lot of great material about openBIM. But this is the foundation for open standards in our industry, in the construction industry. And yeah, why open standards are good, why openBIM is good. Here's, again, 3 nice slogans about it. You can open things if you have an open standard. It's easier to collaborate, and you are in control of your own workflows now and in the future. And just a side note that you shouldn't confuse openBIM and open standards with open source code. And this is what I come across often with talking to public agencies and governments, is that they have a very strong focus on avoiding vendor lock-in. So they want to do everything with open source code, but there's a whole bunch of problems related to it because it's tough to maintain. It's very expensive. What you need is open standards. Through the open standards, you get vendor neutrality, you get interoperability, so you can avoid vendor lock-ins. And you have a whole bunch of cool commercial software that you can choose that support open standards. So you remain in control of your data. And the openBIM workflow is there, which is not just about the standards like IFC, which is one of the core standards, but there's now IDS, where you can define the requirements in a machine-readable format. Leon van Berlo in this video does a much better job of explaining what openBIM workflow is. So I will leave it to Leon to explain it, and I won't spend more time on this now. And for reference, again, you have here short descriptions about the different standards: IFC, IDS, BSDD, Building Smart, Data Dictionary, BCF, BIM collaboration format, OpenCD, and the validation service. And here's another slide about the openBIM workflow, but in this video, I don't have enough time to go through all of it. You want to learn more about openBIM? There's great learning online learning material for it. Go ahead and check it out. So what to check? The process of developing BIM-based permit checking is not that difficult, actually. You choose a regulation, you analyze and identify high priority clauses, you formalize the rule, you define the checking method, you define the BIM requirements, and then it's develop, test, and release. And you start over again. The more agile, the better. So, and here's a short example of how to analyze regulatory clauses, of how you should kind of look at them. For example, there's an accessibility check for spaces, the height of rooms. Another one is for safety, fire safety. Does the building have the required number of fire safety doors, for example? And you break it up into smaller pieces so you can analyze it. You can also use templates to help you. For example, from Future Insight, we've used this template to analyze regulatory checks and to really prioritize which one should be taken first. But if you're more technically inclined, you can check out the awkward formalization process, which does help to maybe automate a little bit, but it's much more technical. And Thomas in this video does a good job of, again, explaining what it actually means and how it works. But this is, I would say, more really cutting edge and not always necessary to go to this level. Maybe first start with some simple regulation checks and just try it out, learn by doing, right? IDS, again, IDS is an incredibly important standard because this is where you can describe the requirements in a machine-readable format. And there's another video, small video there, again with Leon from Building Smart International. He's a technical director there, who explains what IDS is about and how to use it in practice. Again, not going to go into too much detail, but remember, it is a vital and important standard. So then you define the checking method. Either it's manual or you use a software solution like Solibri or Clearly BIM. Or you can even develop your own coding checking solution, which I do not really recommend. But here's a nice set of things to keep in mind when you're following this process. Choose the right checks, keep information requirements as simple and clear as possible, and involve a multidisciplinary team when you're doing this. And there's a really nice research paper done by our Awkward team, several members of the Awkward team, which you can check out from this link, and some more resources. So, how to check, tools and processes. Clearly BIM, software by Future Insight. I'm also from Future Insight, so it's nice to talk about our own tool, which allows you to store BIM files. You can do IDS checks, and you can do very complicated compliance checks as well. And here's an Estonian example. The Estonian government has implemented, and since February 2024, this is live in the building registry. You can go online, you can upload an IFC model, and you can run about 47 different checks to see whether or not it complies with regulations. Another pilot we did together with our Finnish colleagues and friends is in the Rava Free project, where we only did like, I think it was 5 checks, but you can also see how our software works in collaboration with Cloud Permit. Solibri, I think a lot of you might already know Solibri, a great piece of software originating from Finland, and can do not just compliance checks, but it does cater for a much bigger audience in terms of quality control. But Pianitz has a very nice video explaining Solibri in detail. So again, I'm not going to go spend too much time here because I'm running out of time and I really want to get through these slides. There's a whole community actually around around this BIM-based permitting. And I just noticed in the slide that there's one event link missing here. But if you look at the slides later on, you will find it. But mark your calendars for 2nd to 4th of December 2025 and come to Vienna, because we're going to have a digital building permit conference focused specifically on this topic. Yes, so now we get to the part of actually doing it. And that is a little bit the hardest part. It's easy to start, but to implement the whole process and to get to the point where you have BIM-based permitting live and running, that is like climbing a large mountain. But the good thing is all the technology, standards, knowledge, all the resources are already there. It's, when you look at this picture, it's like the backpack and your gear. But the hard part is the change management and the collaboration. And this will take time. Some are ahead, some are behind. But I think if you really set your mind to it, it's not that hard. It's doable. Just take one step at a time, look at it in an agile way, and you're on your way. Some more material, reference material. You can check out some links, how to use IFC for permit checking, exchanging results with BCF, building smart data dictionary, etc. So a lot of good links to get you on your way. But again, to finish off, the best way to learn is learn by doing. Just start, do it. Technology is there. Start piloting. And whatever you start today, it will take time to implement. But it's like, you know, when was the best time to plant a forest? Was yesterday. But when is the next best time? Oh, no, it was when it was the best time? It was 40 years ago. When is the next best time is today. So use international open standards. Do it. Be bold and agile. You will probably fail in some aspects, but you will fail fast and learn from it. And some more resources. Check out the Awkward website. You will see a lot more stuff there. So I thank you for your attention. I may have gone a bit over time, but it's a lot of material. And if you have any questions, my contacts are there. Get in touch and see you around.